Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome back right here to WagerTalk TV for another episode of Puck Time. I'm your host, Andrew McInnis. I'll be joined shortly by Carmine Bianco and Mr. Bryan Leonard back in his usual Thursday spot. Yes, guys, it is Thursday. Thursday night football is here as well, but there is a massive, massive NHL slate. Thursdays are where you can find the big NHL slates, and we'll try and break it down today and find you guys some winners. On today's card, we are going to discuss Penguins, Panthers, Islanders, Hurricanes, Kraken, and Predators, and the nightcap, the Golden Knights, and the Los Angeles Kings. Guys, for me last night, it was kind of bittersweet. You know, I was able to crack some winning free plays for you guys. I gave out on WagerTalk TV the under in the Jets and Ducks game. My best bet yesterday on the show, Canucks and Oilers under. But that was about it for me. So those of you guys that tuned in, saw the best bets, checked out the content on our Puck Time Twitter, you got some winners. But I fell short elsewhere and looking to bounce back today. But some great games yesterday. I know Carmine was at the Leafs game yesterday, so we'll ask him how his night was and what he has up today at WagerTalk.com.
How's it going, boys? The night was the game was fun to watch. The results at the end were terrible, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. But I wasn't happy about it nonetheless. The Leaf game was actually very exciting, despite it being a 2-1 game. You know, a couple goals in the first, I think, 9 or 10 minutes of that game. It looked like the speed of the game was pretty good. The Canadians really should have been up at the end of the first period, 3-1, somewhere around there. They had some quality chances. I was really impressed, as I told you, Andrew, with Suzuki. He had a fantastic game, I thought. Not so much Toffoli, not so much Caulfield, but Suzuki, he found the right spots. He put himself in the right spots in the offensive zone. Just couldn't get those pucks on net. And when they were deflected. Couple open nets off of legs, and when you see a scoreless second period, you're just like, oh, we're in trouble here. And I know the Prez was pretty upset because he had the over 5.5, so that one went Kai Bosch, and then no empty net goal at the end to save a puck line bet for me. So all in all, like I said, it was an enjoyable game to watch, not enjoyable from a results point of view. So I've had a couple plays to yesterday's clients who bought the package. We will make it up as we go. But getting on with the show, Thursdays are my favorite show. Sorry, Buster. Sorry, Prez. It's because we have Bryan Leonard on the show, and I love listening to Bryan talk about a lot of the analytics and numbers of the game. So let's bring Bryan in.
Great to be back, guys. I appreciate you inviting me back for another year. And yeah, I had similar results so far this season. Last year, I got off to a slow start and ended up doing very well, finishing number 2 in profit. So my 0-3 start to this year is par for the course, I guess, as I had the Rangers yesterday and played a lot better than what the final score was. But hey, you only get paid out at the final score. And hats off to you, Carmine. I've had dinner with Prez a few times, and that's about as long as I could take. To sit there for 3 hours and driving back and forth together, I'm sure that's a long day. And to be able to get back up the next day and do this really early show, hats off to you and both Andrew, because Andrew's in the time zone where it's even later that he gets to bed every night. So glad to be back. A good way to start the day, and let's pick some winners.
You know, Bryan, before it goes to Andrew, I got to mention Marco D'Angelo. He replied to the tweet of my phone, because my phone fell at the game out of my hands as we were clapping for some first responders, and my phone absolutely crashed to the ground and broke. And Marco D'Angelo replies with the one of the funniest tweets I've read. He goes, Carm, he goes, listen, you got an iPhone. Let's be serious here. You had your iPhone on your lap. The iPhone's listened to you. It listened to Prez and then just jumped off your lap and committed suicide or something. So it's where phones go to die. So God bless Marco D'Angelo. I love that comment from him. It was pretty funny. But after the show, I'm off to get a new phone, Andrew.
Isn't it fun, guys, making jokes about people that aren't here? It's that much more fun. He can't even say anything back to us. I mean, I'm sure the guys
listen to him anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm sure the guys commenting are going to have a good time with that one. But it was great having Prez on the show yesterday. Let's jump right into today's first game, guys. Let's get right into the hockey action, try and find some winners for our great viewing audience here. Penguins and Panthers, our first game we are going to discuss on the card today. And while this Penguins team, they started their season off already. This is a team that looks strong. I said there wouldn't be much of a hangover for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, Tampa looked pretty hungover. So I guess the question we can kind of ask ourselves is how much of that game was a great performance for us to read into, and how much was it just Tampa not playing their best? Because they did look flat in large part in that game. But if you're Pittsburgh, you are feeling good about yourselves. And Carm mentioned that stat on the show a few days back, just talking about how Pittsburgh has played actually without Malkin, without Crosby, and that they've actually been a pretty good team at, having each other's back and filling in those depth roles. And we saw Danton Heinen score a goal in his first game as a Penguin. Jeff Carter looked like he drank some water out of the fountain of youth. So it's interesting to see. And Tristan Jarry, goaltender that, let's be honest, he couldn't stop a beach ball last playoffs, and now he looked pretty good in the first game. So we have Florida, though, hefty minus 185 favorites, but they're going to be a solid team this year, guys. I actually like them at 19-1 to win the cup for some great value there. They have an outstanding top six: Tippett, Bennett, Huberdeau, Verhaeghe, Barkov, and Sam Reinhart. Also love their defensive core. I think it's a great spot for them. But I'm looking at them in regulation here. Florida at home, Carmine. But as far as the total goes, it's a 6.5. I've been saying to myself, I don't want to be involved in 6.5s unless I'm going toward the under early on in the season, at least. But in this game, I can't go anywhere but over the total. What are your thoughts, Carm?
Yeah, we saw a ton of Florida overs last year, especially at home. A very exciting team. And I agree with you, Andrew. I'm looking forward to seeing how Florida does. That division is such a tough one with Tampa, with the Leafs, with Boston, and with Florida. And Florida could very well finish in that second or third spot if they have a very successful season this year. You mentioned, other than Barkov and Huberdeau, the names you mentioned, but the addition of Reinhart really helps this team as well too. And it's Bobrovsky is slated to start tonight. As far as the game in itself goes, you look at the Pens and you have to make a decision. Are you overreacting to the Pens and how they played against Tampa Bay and that final scoreline? Because if you are, you have to remember, 3 of those goals in that 6-2 final were scored into an empty net. It was a much tighter game. The power play for Tampa just did not click. They had a hard time getting it set up. And that Tampa, we saw it in the playoffs last year, the third best power play in the playoffs. They literally, you took a penalty, they made you pay for it. That's just how that team was. I'm excited to see how the Panthers are this year, but I agree with you. I think you probably have to take the Panthers. And going back to that stat that you mentioned, heading with Malkin and Crosby out of the lineup, heading into a game against Tampa Bay, 31-15-6 was the record in 52 games. That's now 32-15-6, of course, after beating Tampa Bay the other night. But I'm looking at the Panthers here. That is a big price. The 60-minute price is probably a lot better. But Mike Sullivan, give him credit. He had the Penguins set up right off the bat in game one to play extremely well with a reduced lineup with Malkin out, Crosby out, with Gunsel out. So we'll see how they do tonight in game two. I'm interested to see what Brian's thoughts are. Brian?
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not playing Pittsburgh in that first game. I'm a big proponent of going against the teams, raising the flag, getting their rings. The NBA, it works even better in the first period fading those teams first quarter in the NBA. But I was scared off of Pittsburgh playing shorthanded, but I did watch the show, and you gave that great stat on Pittsburgh playing shorthanded, and it made me think about, we prepare all off season, and we know who's going to be good, and we know who's going to be bad. At least we expect that, at least from what we have read. But the players are reading the same things. If you read the quotes after that initial game, Pittsburgh was really prepared for that game. The coach came out and he talked about it. He says, we're going in here. This is the defending champs. They've won the last two cups, and here we are going in here without two of our best players. Nobody in the world is giving us a chance. And that speech and the way that Pittsburgh came out and played that game, that was just a great coaching. And I should have been on Pittsburgh. That was one of the situations that I like to play on. For some reason, I just did not play it because they were playing shorthanded. So now you have to go back and look. Okay, since they were so prepared for game one, were they prepared overall, or were they just prepared for that opponent? Because that's a big win for Pittsburgh to beat Tampa Bay on the road there. And I agree with Florida. Florida is my pick to win it all. I thought there was value on Florida here in the 20-1 range. This is a team that I liked last year. I like the way they played, and I think they got better in the offseason, which there's not too many teams this year that got better in the offseason because of the draft. The Knights were the one team that didn't have to put any players up for the draft, and so that's a good thing. But the moves they made in the offseason, I don't think were very good. I think they're actually worse than they were last year, and they should have been better. So every team has made some adjustments. I like the Florida team, but this line's too high. There's no way I could play a Florida team here that has not played a game against Pittsburgh that has played a game. So slight value here on Pittsburgh for me. Not going to get involved. But that would be the only side I like. You come into the season looking to play on teams, to play against teams, and the novices will do that. The problem is you have to get the correct numbers, and we don't have the numbers here to play Florida. Plenty of time to make money on Florida the rest of the season. I just don't see it here, so I'll be passing on this one.
Bryan Leonard, WagerTalk.com. This is why we love having him on. Before I send it back to Andrew, I want to mention he's got a 5% play up today in MLB, and he's absolutely started the playoffs absolutely on fire. I think you're 7-0 in the playoffs, Andrew. Coupon code, if you want to get his play tonight for $15, use coupon code AM15 to get his 5% play tonight. Andrew, impressive 7-0, my friend.
I appreciate it, Carm. Big game tonight. Dodgers, Giants, 5% play. Looking to keep that undefeated streak on the line here. Keep it rolling. So use that coupon code, guys, AM15. Get the play for just $15. Our next game, let's jump right into it. Islanders and the Hurricanes. This one's going to be interesting because it's two teams that are really heavily talked about. Also two teams that, although there's a little bit of youth, there's a lot of vets on both these teams. The Islanders, guys, were listed as the oldest team per average age in the NHL, and we know there's one or two players definitely pulling the weight in that average for them. But Carolina minus 130, the Islanders plus 110 here. Total sits at 5.5. Brian, I'll go right back to you with this one. Two teams with lots of high hopes heading into this season. What are your thoughts on these two teams in this matchup tonight?
Yeah, two very good teams, two very well coached teams. You mentioned the Islanders in some regards being an older team. That is a concern later in the season. When the season starts, you're probably as healthy as you're going to be all season long, especially if you have depth problems. Those are going to show up as the season goes on. So the Islanders are a team I'm looking to play on. Carolina's a team that last year I was a big Carolina fan, especially at home. They've been terrific at home, as you all know, over the years. But I think they're a little bit down this year compared to the past. I do have some concerns about Carolina here. I actually rate the Islanders slightly higher than the Hurricane. And the only thing is, do I really want to go with the Islanders in close to a pick'em game? I mean, we're getting Carolina about 125, so it's pretty close to a coin flip game. But do I want to go against Carolina in this building? It's not been a profit maker in the past. Don't know if I'll do it here, but this should be a game where it should be very tight. And if you're looking to play live betting, it would not surprise me if the team that scores the first goal does not win this game. So you could catch the dog after a team is down 1-0, and I think you're in a pretty good shape depending on how this game plays out. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm looking to fade the team that takes a quick lead here, because I think this game is a very tight game, as the line would tell you, and is going to go down to the wire. And you're looking at a 5.5 under, so it's not going to be one of the higher scoring games. So I think we'll get some nice value here, but we'll look how it plays out in live. Pre-game, like the Islanders, but I'm not getting the line I really want here. So I'm just going to wait on it a little bit and try to get something as the game goes on here.
Yeah, Brian, I have to agree with you. This is probably one of those games where you want to be live betting. During the preseason, I will say I was pretty happy with preseason. I didn't bet a lot of it, but I did put up a lot of second and third period lines, live in-game lines just before they went to the end of the period. And those did well at WagerTalk. I think 5-0 on those ones. So I will likely do that for clients this week as well too. But this is a tough one. I think the road to the Eastern Conference goes through this Islanders team, a very well coached team. Last year, one of the things as far as the totals go, we talked a lot about it on the show. There was I think a run of about 13 or 14 games where if you took the Islanders unders on the road, they hit. If you took the overs at home, they were hitting. They were complete polar opposites of how they play at home and away. And it was a profitable one if you were taking them. The thing about this Canes team is I've never seen a team, and they're a talented team. I've never seen a team, and then I'm going to go to you, Andrew, on this one, that has a very good season, an impressive playoffs, although, they did eventually lose to Tampa, but then completely guts their goalies. All three goalies gone. Mrazek in Toronto, Reimer now in San Jose, Nedeljkovic in Detroit. All three goalies gone, and their goalies were fantastic last season. So it's now Ranta and from Arizona and Frederick Anderson from Toronto. That's the goaltending duo. Is it a downgrade? We're going to find out. We might find out right off the bat. Game ones of an NHL season, you cannot say how a team is based on game one or game two, game three. It's an 82-game season. But you look at the offseason for this team, getting rid of three goalies. Dougie Hamilton leaves to go to New Jersey, so that's a hit as well, too. This team was 14-1 to win the Cup before the free agency started, and then 25-1 after free agency. So that's what the books think about it. But this is still a very talented team. I'm probably going to look at it, like Brian said, it's not profitable to take away teams going to Carolina and playing there. So I can't get on the Islanders. I very well might do it if I get a good price in game, but I'll probably look at the under here, Andrew.
Well, Brian brings up the live betting in this game. I think it's interesting because we're going to be able to find out what type of game this is going to be very, very early on in this game. I'm talking like first few minutes, first 5 minutes, maybe before the first commercial break in this game, because these are two teams that play great defensively, but as a lot of people don't know is that it's just the coaches making these in-game adjustments. And, we're going to be able to tell if this is going to be one of those games where the players are sitting back, they're trapping, they're making it difficult for a zone entry. But this very well might not be one of those games. It could be, all hands on deck, a back and forth type of game. And if that's the case, both these teams do have talent. They do have youth. And to Brian's point, that fatigue and the age and all that stuff doesn't come into account until later on in the season. It doesn't matter in game one. As a Canadiens fan, though, I feel like I have to mention this, guys. Jesperi Kotkaniemi gets picked up. It was the first offer sheet that was successful, and I think over 10 years. Kotkaniemi is now making over $5 million this year for the Carolina Hurricanes from the Montreal Canadiens. Some people were saying that he was being eyed by the Carolina Hurricanes before, but I think it was kind of revenge for the Canadiens for trying to go after Sebastian Aho. But this is a team now that has lots of size. the Carolina Hurricanes have lots of size, no matter how old or young their players are. They're very well built. They're physical. And I think that really helps with an under in this game. And Frederik Andersen, he's battled some injuries. He's had some issues. And I watched that Maple Leafs documentary. Obviously, it wasn't easy on him. He wanted to be in there. It's tough for him. You see a couple different goaltenders were bouncing around for the Leafs, and Frederik Andersen was trying to do his physiotherapy, and he ends up getting moved. I think Frederik Andersen's going to be a great goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes. In fact, many players have had success after leaving the Maple Leafs organization, but I won't jump into that. But I think Frederik Andersen will do great for them. And I like the under 5.5, guys. I feel like we'll find out the pace early in this game, but I'm expecting a hard checking game and great defensive effort from still two teams that are talented but have great goaltenders. Carm, I want to jump into our next game. Before I do that, though, you have some exciting news you gave me late last night after you got back from the Leafs game, and I want you to tell our viewership about it.
Yeah, I didn't get the news. Well, I got the news early. I just didn't know the news because of my phone was smashed up or what have you. But yeah, yesterday, the day before, MSG Networks reached out to me. They have put together 3 new betting shows on their networks. One of them is called The Betting Exchange, and I was asked to come in or come online and do a chemistry sort of audition test with them yesterday, which I did on the show with the hosts of the show in New York. And they contacted me a few hours later, said it went absolutely fantastic. The producers thought it went well, and they gave me the position. So I will be on MSG Networks doing a live betting show with NHL content. Andrew, the good thing is that they made that offer before my NHL games last night, which completely crapped out. So that's the good news. I signed that contract back, but it's just another thing I'll do along with Puck Time and all the other stuff at WagerTalk. But it is fun. So if you're in the New York area, check out the Betting Exchange. It'll be live today, later on today. I think about 5 o'clock or so before the games in New York that they cover MSG.
Great stuff, Carm. We're really happy for you, and make sure you guys all check them out there. Follow the @PuckTimeWT Twitter account. We'll make sure to let you guys know what Carm's up to with his new gig there. But don't worry, he's still on Puck Time every single day with us right here on WagerTalk TV. Let's jump into some Seattle Kraken talk. The Seattle Kraken and the Nashville Predators. The Predators kick off their season at home, minus 125 favorites here. Seattle plus 105. Total sits at 5.5 in this one. And well, guys, I said out the gate from this Seattle Kraken team, I liked this team more than it seemed like a lot of people did. I think this is a typical expansion team. You want to build an expansion team that is difficult to play. And that's what they were against Vegas. They weren't anything special. Their goals weren't anything highlight reel worthy, but that's really what you want out of an expansion team. A strong goaltender like Grubauer, a pretty good defensive core, and then forwards that are going to work their asses off for a full 60 minutes. And that's what it seems like they have with the Seattle Kraken. Guys, I'm going to go ahead with the theory that I like backing these teams that have already played a game. And I don't love betting these road teams, especially teams that are new, lack of chemistry. But if I'm betting this game tonight, I'm looking towards the Seattle Kraken because I'm actually just sick and tired of the Nashville Predators. I've given them so much energy. I've given them so much of my future wagers. I've thought that they were going to be something for many, many years. And they were. For 1 year, they went all the way and couldn't get the job done. But I think the new kids on the block jump in here and put up a really strong fight. And I'm going to be careful when I'm taking the Nashville Predators this year and the prices that I'm laying. Because like Bob Barker once said, the price, well, it's not right. Nashville Predators minus 125. No, thank you. So I'll take the little bit of a barking dog here. Short dog. Not too courageous of one, but Seattle plus 105 for me. Give me the dog in this one. Carm, are you with me? Are you against me? What's the deal here?
Well, my first thoughts is, Andrew, you're young enough that you would slot right in perfectly with the new kids on the block. I'm not sure if they're still around that group or not, but with that hairstyle and that look, you would slot right in perfectly, my friend. So we'll have to put it out there. But I get it. Listen, the Kraken fell behind. It wasn't the greatest start for a franchise team in their first new franchise team in their first year, falling behind 3-0 to the Vegas Golden Knights. And I want to hear what Brian has to say about it, because he's very close with this Golden Knights team and understands them. But they impressed me. They battled back, tied that game up at 3 before losing it 4-3. And it's like you said, Andrew, having a good goalie, and Grubauer is a very good goalie. He played exceptionally well. He made some great saves, kept that team in the game. So yeah, they're likely going to be competitive all season long. Their points total is 90.5 points. And I thought, how are they ever getting to 90.5 points? But I don't want to overreact to one game. And this is why I want to kind of see the next 2, 3, 4 games for the Kraken and see if it's one of those things where they sort of just level off a little bit as they go. But let's see what they do tonight. But this is a good Preds team. It is now Saros' team. He's the number one goalie between the pipes. Pecorine obviously gone. They were a good team last year. Can they build off of what they did last year? They picked up steam at the end of the season, albeit a short season. But they gave Carolina all they could handle in that playoff round that they had, I think, going 7 OT in the last one. I think this is just one of those ones where you have two teams that play very well defensively, that have very good goalies in net, and there's only one way to look at it. If you don't want to touch that 125, Andrew, because it looks suspicious, then maybe we go with the under here, under 5.5. I'm going to gravitate to a total again. I'll start getting to sides maybe in a week to come when we know more about these teams, but I'm going to look at the under 5.5 here. And I'll
Before
send
you
it
go
to
to
my
Brian,
good friend
Karma, I
Brian.
just want to mention before
Sure.
you go to Brian, I want to mention and bring this up just real quick. Sorry, Brian, but the 1.5 under in the first period, I think would be appealing if we're looking towards an under in this game. Obviously, with Nashville playing their first game, Seattle looking for a better start. If I was playing the under in this game, I actually might look towards the first period here, and you can actually get a plus 105 at some certain spots here. Carm, any arguments towards that? I think it could be a good opportunity because, like you mentioned, Seattle had a really, really poor start to their first game ever.
No, normally, and when we did a Twitter Spaces thing where we talked about how odds change, and in talking to Pinnacle years ago, and like even over the past year on some of these 1.5s, the ones that that are more likely percentage wise to hit, you're paying juice on. You're seeing 145, 150, or up on the 1.5s. When you see something, and like Pinnacle has this one up at like plus 112 on the under, plus 126 on the over. Looking at those odds, it may not sound like it, but that is literally a pick 'em. It is one that likely could stay under the total, but they will always shade the 1.5s a little more to the over, even on the pick 'ems, just because of the fact that it is only a couple goals to get you the win. So plus 112, if you can get it, Andrew, it might be a good play based on what you said. Maybe a better start for the Kraken in this one. They were shell-shocked. First 6 minutes, they were down 2-0. So maybe a little bit better. Bri, your thoughts on this one?
Well, first off, Carmine, congratulations on the new job. And it's great when people I like get these opportunities. Andrew's had a lot of success in this short amount of time with us. But not only people I like, but people that are good people. And I know in the past you've done a lot of things for charity. You're a big tipper when it comes to the restaurants. It's a karma thing. And make us proud, man. I just want to know if these are going to be available somewhere on the internet where people who are not in New York can see the segments. If you know about that, let us know how to get it. But congratulations on that. Getting back to the game, Seattle and Nashville here, I was taken aback really in the opening game for Seattle. This is a team with good goaltending, good defensive players, some forwards that have some talent, but I didn't think they were going to put a lot of goals up. To come out and play the way they did against Vegas, it was pretty ballsy, in my opinion. I had to play in the under in that game because I thought Seattle was going to be a defensive-minded team, but they opened it up early against a team that is faster than they are, been around for a long time compared to them, and have better talent. And from a coaching standpoint, that worried me because Seattle, as you mentioned, for the total points on the season, I've heard differing opinions on this. This is a team that could find their way into the playoffs. This is also a team that could be out of the playoff race in no time. I think from a coaching standpoint, at least in my opinion, you assume the coaches know more than you do. They know their players a lot better than you do. That's a fact. I mean, we could talk all we want about it. But if you're Seattle and you want to play a team that's better than you, it's sort of like being in a football game where you want to run the clock and make less time on the clock and give yourself a chance to play. They didn't do that against Vegas. And Vegas is a team during the preseason. They played a lot of the young players. Some of the lines didn't even line up very much. So I didn't want anything to do with Vegas in that game. And they played into Vegas's hands. They won't have that same problem here against Nashville because it's not nearly as talented. But from a Nashville standpoint, Andrew, the way they finished last year, I was really impressed by them. And there was no smoke and mirrors. They played great ball the second half, great hockey the second half of the season. And I was looking to play on Nashville this year. And it was a situation where they just didn't do anything in the offseason for me to want to back them. And money's coming in on Seattle here, and I don't blame them. Nashville's a team that I was really excited to be able to play this year, and just like Carolina, a team that did more to hurt their chances, I think, in the long run. So I side with Seattle in this game a little bit. I think we've lost some value in that regard, but I'm concerned. We're going to have to see how Seattle plays this game. If they play all out like they did the first game, they may be a team that we can make some money by fading as this goes on, because, like I said, I assume the coaches know what they're doing, but as of right now, if I had that type of team, the last thing I would do was to try to get in shootouts with teams that have more talent than we do. So we'll see how this goes. I think it's a learning experience, but I'll be sitting on the sideline for this one.
That is a great point. I pretty much am going to send a note right now. Every producer we need to get that clipped up. Everything Brian just said, words of wisdom. Love that because it's so true. And that's what we saw yesterday with the Blackhawks and the Avalanche as well, Brian. The Blackhawks tried to play like the Avalanche. You can't try and play like your opponent. So it's a great point. But to that point that you made, though, I think it's hard to really listen to your coach and think about all that stuff in the first 4 or 5 minutes. Even though they're professional players, they were excited, new team, first game of the year. Then all of a sudden they're down 2-0. But great point. Agree with everything you just said. Let's jump into our next game, guys. Kings and Golden Knights here. A Kings team that's supposed to be heavily improved or has a lot higher of expectations heading into this season. A great mixture of experienced players and some younger prospect guys that are making the team now and jumped up with them. They also have Philip Deneau from the Canadiens, great two-way center. Vegas Golden Knights, though, minus 160. LA plus 135. Total sits at 5.5 in this one. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet before I head it over to Carmine. I think this LA team is going to be a major, major over team this year. And it's going to be a while until we get sixes with them. But at the point that it's 5.5s, I'm going to make some money betting overs in their games. When Brian was talking about teams playing to the level of their opponent, I think LA is going to do that. They're going to think that they can compete with this Vegas team, and it's not going to work out. I vision a 4-3, 5-3 hockey game here in favor of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. But I think this 5.5 is a tad short. LA has more talent this year, and we'll get some goals in this one. So give me the over 5.5 here, Carm.
All right. I can't fault you for that, Andrew, because, I feel sort of the same way about this Kings team. I think they're going to be much better than last year's team that finished sixth in that West Conference. Obviously, the conferences are a little different this year, slightly different. But in this conference, if you were to concede the top two spots in whichever order to Vegas and the Edmonton Oilers, there's a very good chance that this Kings team could battle for that third spot or one of the two wildcard spots in the West. You know what I mean? I think they are a better team. Obviously adding Philip Deneau, Victor Arvidsson, and Alex Edler on defense is going to help this team. And they already had talent, and they have a lot of young talent and picks in their system as well too. So this is a team that could get better and probably has a bright future ahead of them. I still don't know, just because they played the Kraken, it's still early. I don't know whether this is the same very good Vegas team or not. I have to believe it's going to be Robin Lehner tonight. I had to say it out easily because I have said Robert Lehner so many times. I get his first name wrong. You wouldn't believe it. But, last year, seven wins in 10 games for the Golden Knights against the Kings in this series. 6-4 to the over, and 3-2 in games that were played in LA. I actually think the Kings are a live dog here, and you can get them at plus 141. So I'm going to go with the Kings to win this game tonight, the spring the upset on the Vegas Golden Knights. And before I throw it to Brian, I want to thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate it. I'm really happy that I actually invited you to the dinner before you said those words. But I will be in Vegas, and I posted this on Twitter. I will be in Vegas for 3 days, the 25th to the 28th of October, watching the Monday Night Football game at Circa. If you're in Vegas or in the area, drop in. I will buy some drinks. But Bri, Vegas Golden Knights, do they win tonight or get upset by this Kings team?
I feel about the Kings the way you guys do. I think this is a team that I saw it last year. This is a team that showed some spunk, and it wasn't much expected out of them. Didn't have a great season, but it's a team that you could see some bright spots. And they did some great signings in the offseason, and I'm a big fan of Cal Peterson. Last year, he didn't get the full-time minutes until later on in the season. Never been a Jonathan Quick fan in my short time as an NHL fan, because he was great when he was younger, but lately he just hasn't impressed me. Peterson got more starts last year, and he's the main guy this year. That's a good thing in my regard, because I think he's a good young talent. Problem is, now he's going to be, with a longer season, last 2 seasons have been shortened seasons, now with the longer season, how he holds up over the year, something to keep an eye on. Once again, as we spoke, it's not a concern right now, but as the year goes on. But this is a team with a lot of talent. The only thing that concerns me is Vegas has really dominated LA. Vegas is a team that has dominated all the weaker teams in the division. Unfortunately, this division, the Pacific Division overall, a couple of the really good teams that were in the division last year in Minnesota, St. Louis, Colorado, they're no longer here. So it's an easy season for the Vegas Golden Knights, a team who's had a lot of success in their young career here. I have a feeling that Vegas won't be taking these regular season games nearly as much in this new division, must-win type of games, as they have in the past. I have them winning this division by like 18 to 20 points. So Edmonton's pretty good. They got some other teams that are pretty good, but they're clearly the best team in this division. So on a game-to-game basis, especially when you're going to lay the kind of prices that Vegas is, it's going to be tough for me to back them. It's going to have to be certain situations I'm going to look for, certain quotes coming out of the locker room, some revenge play, something like that, coming off of a bad game the prior game, to be able to play on them here. They're coming in a little bit overconfident. I think the Seattle comeback on them the other night, that wakes them up a little bit. As I said, Vegas didn't play a lot together during the preseason. Played a lot of young guys, wanted to fill up the roster. They had some guys that they signed in the offseason, wanted to get a look at them. So they haven't had a lot of time together in game action. And that's somewhat of a concern early in the season here. I like Los Angeles, but because of the way Vegas has dominated them, I have to take it with a grain of salt. But that'd be the only side I'd take here, is the LA team playing at home. Excited about the way the offseason went. Vegas does have that game under the belt, and I agree with Andrew about that. I think that's a big deal going early. But I can't back Vegas in the price range they're in right now. So it's a lean with Los Angeles for me, and I understand why you would want to play that. And the line's gone up a little bit in that regard. So there's not going to be a lot of players bettors out there looking to play the Kings based on what they've done in the past. They'll want to come out, and the general guys that don't know a whole lot about hockey are going to probably play this game and think, wow, that's pretty cheap for Vegas, one of the best teams. And so I think the Kings, as this day goes on, we can get better numbers on the Kings, and I may end up being on them late if I can get another 5 or 10 cents here.
Great stuff from Brian. You can find him over at WagerTalk.com. Las Vegas Golden Knights fan, but not scared to go against him either, and I can respect the hell out of that from Bryan Leonard. Again, find him over at WagerTalk for all of his plays and content. Let's jump right into the best bet segment. I'm going to kick things off with my best bet. Found a winner yesterday with the Oilers and Canucks under 6.5. I'll try and do it again today with a side play. Going with Montreal Canadiens, minus 140 over the Buffalo Sabres. That number continues to climb, so jump on that ASAP and try and get in the best number you can possible. They have a game under their belt. They played last night, and I understand they're playing the second half of a back-to-back, but they played the Maple Leafs, a Maple Leafs team that actually played pretty well defensively. Like Carmine said, he was at the game last night. Montreal had plenty of chances. I thought we saw great goaltending out of Campbell for the Leafs, and I think this tonight we'll see Craig Anderson have pucks flying at him all night long. Montreal chemistry, a lot of new lines for them, and their chemistry took time to develop, and late in the game they started getting that chemistry even more and more. So at this price, I feel like it's generous. I feel like the Habs are going to bounce back, and as Carmine knows as a Buffalo fan, it's going to be a rough year for them. So give me the Canadiens for my best bet, minus 140. And don't forget, guys, use that coupon code AM15 to get my 5% MLB for only $15. Carmine, over to you for what you have up for tonight and your best bet.
Yeah, some World Cup soccer, the final games in South America. That card is up. It's a 3-pack, 2-in-1 on those plays yesterday. A couple plays that I sent out to the people that bought yesterday's card. So log in to your accounts. You'll find a couple plays for tonight. There, it'll be more live stuff, which I'll probably post on Twitter. So the next card for me that will be available at Wager Talk will be tomorrow, not today, but I'll post any live stuff that I have, as well as the Puck Time Twitter account. I will have a contest up. Andrew, as far as I like your Montreal play, the ease in which they were getting into the Leafs zone last night was very impressive indeed. So that either bodes well for them because they're moving the puck around well, or it's bad for that Toronto defense. I guess we'll find out. But like that pick. As far as tonight, my play is going to go to that Pens and Panthers game that we discussed earlier. I'm not overreacting to the 6-2 win by the Penguins. I'm looking more so at the Panthers here. I don't want to lay that big price, but I do like this team. I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch this season. So I'm going to take them in regulation time. You only have to lay $1.13 on that one. So in your book, you should have options for regulation time, or it might say 60 minutes. Those are the exact same bets. The game must be won in 60 minutes. If it's not, it's a losing bet. So I'm going with the Panthers here, minus 113 in regulation. Bri, what do you got for us?
I'm going to take a look at a game that I used yesterday for clients. Didn't have success on. I had the Rangers yesterday. Turned out to be a really public underdog, and you don't like to be on the teams that are a public underdog. In fact, they got to a minus at certain points of the day yesterday. But I'm going to come back with the Rangers here. I'm not going to overreact to what happened in one game, but if you take a look, you go to Natural Stat Trick website. You can look at the expected goals for and against in the game yesterday, and the Rangers had a 57.86, which was pretty good. In fact, that's the only team that has played so far this season that lost the game and should have won it based on expected goals. The Rangers have that game under their belt. I like to play on teams who played well and lost and then get a chance to come right back again, play the next day, play the day after that. That's a team that's coming into the game a little bit upset. They played well, they just didn't get the breaks, and as we've talked about in the past, out of the major sports, hockey is the one that luck is such a factor in hockey. We saw that in the first game with the Knights, where the puck goes off the skate of the player and goes in the goal, and that's the winner against the Kraken. That's just the way it is in hockey. It's just a very lucky game. So the Rangers are upset they lost, and now they're coming back the very next night against a team in Dallas that I've been a fan of in the past because of the defense and the goaltending. But I don't think Dallas is any better than they were last year. And we're getting the Rangers at home. I released it to clients earlier, like the 120, 125 range. Now I'm seeing it up to 140. So a lot of people seeing what we like. So I like the Rangers. That's the only play I've given out so far to clients. So don't buy my play today. If you're looking to get some action, I do have a play on the total in the NFL game tonight, and I've got some other plays up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the rest of the weekend in football. So my free play today will be the Rangers, and that's my paid play also. And if I have anything else going today, if anything falls into my parameters, I'll add that to people who have joined for the extended period. So hopefully we can get off the schneid and get back in the winning circle here and play the Rangers tonight.
Good to have you back here on Puck Time with us, Brian. Rangers as a best bet for Brian. Carmine going with Florida Panthers in regulation, and I have the Montreal Canadiens minus 140 on the money line. Those are the power plays on the screen, guys. A little bit of a long show today, but we really appreciate you guys sticking it out, tuning in, whether you're watching afterwards or watching the live show. On behalf of Brian, Carmine, I'm Andrew. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk Text Club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.